My name is Will Cord and I'm the host of Ready, Set, Renovate. Our podcast is produced in the upstate of South Carolina where I happen to live and our business, Daniel Builders, is located. Ready, Set, Renovate is dedicated to making home renovations a delightful and drama-free process. Drama is fun when it's on HGTV, but not so much fun when your own home is at stake. We discuss real-life home renovations and all they entail while equipping you to edit out the renovation craziness. Along the way, we pack in some inspiration for your own home. Welcome. On this episode, we're celebrating World Architecture Day. And in honor of that day, we're bringing on Billy Zion. Billy owns Zion Architects, and he recently joined forces with Daniel Builders to build a Four Seasons room in Anderson, South Carolina. We'll show you that project as well as hear from Billy on what it was like to team up with Daniel Builders on this project. So let's get to it. Billy, thanks for coming on. It's good to have you on Ready, Set, Renovate to talk about a Four Seasons room that you designed and Daniel Builders built. Tell us a little how the client came to you and then how you coordinated and collaborated with Daniel Builders, just the overview of the process from them coming to you to them getting a completed project.
Well, they had heard about Daniel Builders, and I think they had decided that that's who they wanted to use to build their project, but they really weren't sure what they wanted to do. At the initial meeting with the client, it didn't take me long to realize that they really liked the outdoors. They really liked working outside in their yard, and that's something that they really wanted to capture in this renovation. They really wanted to maximize that kind of outdoor connection and their views to their backyard that they love so much. But they weren't sure really what that looked like. So they wanted to go through the process with us to draw up as many ideas as possible, to kind of brainstorm, to figure out what are the best ways to do this before we engage with a contractor. They had an existing sunroom that they spent a lot of time in, and that's something they wanted to replicate and even enhance with this addition. So we found a way to connect that sunroom to this new Four Seasons room, which became even more of an outdoor space for them. So we start with, just two-dimensional plans, of course, but a lot of people have trouble with two-dimensional plans, really visualizing the volume and the scale of the space. That initial set of drawings, presents them with, 4, 5, 6 different options. And we go through several iterations to where, at some point you narrow that down to one plan, and you've been through so many iterations that you just know for sure.
Y'all are on the same page.
Everything else off the list, and this is what works for them. After we've come up with a good floor plan that we feel like works for them, everything works together in plan, we start building the 3D model to scale and as accurately as possible. I mean, we can put exact finishes in there. We can get the sunlight in just the right place, and we can actually build that in a way and set it up to where you can actually walk through the space virtually. It's not exact reality, but it's as close as we can get with a computer, and it actually does feel very real walking through this three-dimensional space.
And how much time did you spend with them doing that part of the process?
It was probably a 2-month process with them to get the floor plan to a place where they were comfortable approaching a builder for pricing.
Now, as you were designing this, what were some of the hurdles or obstacles on a conceptual level that you encountered?
With any renovation project, there's going to be obstacles because you're dealing with an existing house, existing rooms, and in this case, when the view is such an important thing, you're always thinking about, okay, is this addition going to block views that they enjoy from somewhere else in the house? So we really had to pay attention with adjacent rooms, window locations, and views from certain rooms to make sure that whatever we did wasn't an obstacle from anywhere else in the house. Anytime I've worked on screen porches or outdoor spaces, I come to realize that those spaces become the place in the house where people tend to gather the most, in our area of the world anyway. anytime I design these, people tell me we spend all our time out here now. So having that in mind, you want to make sure that this Four Seasons room is big enough, that the ceilings are tall enough, that the views are maximized, because they're going to be spending a lot of time out there. You don't want to skimp on square footage or finishes out there.
And some of the unique features of this particular project, like you had very high ceilings, cathedral ceiling. The hallway was really, really tied in well to the house. What are you most proud of when you consider all the unique features of it?
Typically, when you're designing a screen porch as an addition, it's a rectangle at the back of the house. We went through several iterations, and a lot of them were rectangles, but once we modeled that in 3 dimensions, and we could actually, view from the model what the views of the backyard were, we realized this rectangle geometry that we were kind of stuck on wasn't really maximizing the views like we intended. So what we actually did was we rotated the back wall of the screen porch toward the view, which is something unique that I don't think we've done before. So instead of a box, it's actually an angled back wall, so that when they're sitting on the screen porch facing the backyard, they're actually angled in a sense toward the best view of the backyard.
Very cool. One benefit of this design was it created some storage space underneath, which was, I guess, on the wish list of the client. How did you go about customizing even that part for them?
Yeah, so it was very important to the client, because they do a lot of work in their yard, to have enough room to store outdoor tools, lawnmower. He really wanted to be able to drive his lawnmower underneath the screen porch. So that was a little tricky with the grade to get it down low enough to do that, but working with the contractor, we were able to execute that in a way that allowed the client to use the complete footprint of the screen porch underneath for storage, for full height storage.
You mentioned the contractor, Daniel Builders. Talk a little bit about that relationship and what it was like to turn your design over to them as a contractor, and what was your role after that?
I've worked with Daniel Builders several times, and it's always a delight to hand them a project, because I know once the design is complete and I meet with them, there's communication there between me and them to make sure, number one, that the design captures the intent of the client, but number two, that it's constructible. There's always good feedback there if I need to move a wall, if I need to move a window, if the ceiling height needs to change, or in particular to the storage underneath the screen porch, to make sure the grades were right. The grade was a little bit higher than it needed to be, so we needed to make sure that we regraded around the addition to be sure that the client could access the storage underneath with enough headroom to get into a door. You just have to plan for those kind of things, so that once construction starts, everybody's on the same page and knows how things need to fit together. And it's always comforting to know that I can hand a plan over to a contractor, and I don't have to worry about if our design is going to get executed well. I know with Daniel Builders, it's always executed well. It's always executed per the plans, above and beyond what we could expect.
Leading up to that handoff, was there some back and forth between you and the build team at Daniel Builders?
With that very unique slanted wall that we were talking about, there were some unique structural issues there that we had to work out, figuring out where posts and beams needed to be and how that roof needed to interact with the existing structure. So yeah, there was a lot of back and forth there, but as always, it was done very well.
Well, at the end of the project, you're evaluating how it all turned out. How would you grade yourself?
I think we did a really good job in this case, executing the client's needs. After walking on site, walking through the space and seeing how happy they are with the space and hearing that from them, that's a success in my mind when I hear from the client that it's above and beyond what they expected. And it's one thing to draw it and model it on a computer screen, but walking in this very unique screen porch space was above and beyond what I could have even imagined.
That's great. Billy, you're the architect in your team, but you have some help and support. Talk a little bit about the team you have around you and how they make Zion Architects what it is.
Sure. So Lorianne Taylor works with me. She's an Anderson University graduate from the interior design program. She assists me with all the drawings, and she meets with the clients with me. And Deidre Franklin is another drafts person that works with us to help with the drawings. And they're very talented with producing three-dimensional walkthroughs and realistic renderings to kind of help the client really visualize the space through the design process. So they're a tremendous asset to our team.
And from time to time, you bring in interns as well, right?
Yeah, anytime we're contacted by an intern or someone looking to job shadow or anything like that, we always welcome those folks. I think it's a great profession for people who are creative and like to express themselves on paper. And I'm always interested to hear what the young folks are interested in and help them. And they can typically come in and teach me a thing or two about how to better draft, right?
Yeah. As you move forward in your role as an architect, tell us a little bit about what type of projects you're working on in the future. Or will you see many more of these four-season projects, you think?
Probably so. These are pretty popular. We're working on a couple of those right now. We don't do a lot of renovation work, but we do some, and we've got some new custom houses on the boards, some commercial work as well.
So if there is somebody out there and they want to design a house or an addition, or talk about some of the other things you design and also how they can go about getting in touch with you.
Yeah, probably the best way is to send me an email, billy.zion@zionarchitects.com. Just send me an email, let me know what you're looking to do, and I'll be glad to help you out any way we can.
And everything residential pretty much you can tackle, it sounds like.
Yeah, I've been blessed in my career to work on all different project types, from small scale residential to really large scale commercial. So really anything you need help with, you can contact me and we should be able to help you.
Well, like you said, it's a great part of the country to have a Four Seasons room, especially when fall rolls around and you have beautiful scenes of changing leaves.
Yep, absolutely.
Well, thank you, Billy.
Thank you.
Are you interested in remodeling your home? Well, reach out to us at danielbuilders.com and we can help you get that process started.